All right, here's another question. Um, my organization got a really sour taste for Agile. Is Agile falling out of favor? That's a good question. And the philosophy of that, or the marketing aspect or adoption, that's not interesting to me. What's more interesting to me is your software project succeeding and project success. Whether or not a certain buzzword, some people, implemented Agile poorly and had a failed project because projects that are marked Agile, well, they don't have a 100% tracker. I think among Agile projects, I think the average is somewhere around 60% or 60 something percent success rate. So for projects that kind of identify themselves as using Agile, it's a little bit better on average, but I mean, 40 or 30 to 40% failure is still not good. And of course, we know from experience that people say that they've implemented a practice, but they really don't fully, or they don't get everyone trained. So that's not calling a project Agile is not as interesting to me as you succeeding in delivering your software project. And the very first thing that you need to think about when delivering a software project is establishing a high level of quality right away, early in the project, and keeping it there. So then the question is, how do you establish initial quality? And then secondarily, after achieving initial quality, which by the way, you have to measure in your scorecard, how do we keep it? And so your Kanban board is how you track your work flowing through. Every every column represents some type of workstation, and every column needs to have a little checklist of quality control. When a software feature moves into a particular stage, a particular column, before starting work in that column, whoever's assigned to that column, that stage of work, needs to check that it's ready. So they need to have an entry checklist. That's a QC activity, and kick it back if it's not ready, because it doesn't help us at all if we miss out on some design decisions and then the developers write some code, there's some unanswered questions, and then based on the personality or experience of the developer, they make some assumptions and fill in some gaps that seem right to them, but then the code is written, and now we find out that, well, we didn't want it to behave that way in the first place, and we kind of missed something doing initial analysis, or we missed a piece of needed behavior in the UI. Well, now we're downstream. Now we're several stages of work downstream from where the defect originated. So defects are more than just the code doesn't work right. There's all kinds of, we think of defect, just think of a problem. Think of something bad happened. Something happened that should not have happened, and now the user or the customer of the software is not going to get served properly. And so if we decide to put a feature in that's not helpful to the user, well, doesn't matter how the code is written, it's not going to work. That's a defect. Okay, so and um, there can be defects in every type of work. Okay, so defects are not just code bugs. But you start with establishing quality first, and after establishing quality, really quickly in the first one, two features, establish your testing practices that are going to get quality and static analysis and formal inspections. Then get that burgeoning software application, very, very small, very little code, get it out to production or a to be production environment, and start achieving stability. You want that software to be rock steady as it runs in the target environment. Because whether it's a bug in the code or whether the software is falling over in a production environment or having scalability problems or not doing what it's supposed to, or maybe it's running fine, but the way we configured it is generating much, much too high of a usage bill in the Azure cloud. Well, that's a problem too. So you want to achieve stability, and that's your focus. And then the productivity will come, because every ounce of thinking of your entire software team is aimed at keeping quality where it should be, keeping the stability of the software, and finishing the work that it sets out to. Problems with defects and problems with stability, they really occur because of unfinished work. We thought we were finished analyzing the requirements. We thought we were finished designing the UI behavior. We thought we were finished making some technical decisions about this feature. We thought we were finished identifying the necessary pathways through a particular feature when we identified scenarios. We thought we were finished with the code that would make all of these things go. But when we find a stability problem or we define find a defect, or what we're actually doing is we're finding that we're not done. There was some undone work. There was something that was missed. And we took credit for finishing a unit of work. Shouldn't have taken credit for it. It wasn't actually finished. And then we get trapped with the mistake of creating a list of bugs, a bug backlog. So now we have a feature backlog, a list of features that need to flow through the process. And now we have a list of bugs that need to flow through the process. Well, now how do we prioritize? Because now we have two lists of work instead of one list of work. Well, this list of bugs, this bug backlog, well, that's just a fabrication. That's not a real thing. We just accidentally took credit for finishing the feature. Well, the feature had a problem. Feature wasn't actually done. Now I get it. Sometimes we put something into production and then we find, this nascent bug 6 months down the road, and that's the thing. But that's a much smaller list when those things happen than it is when I built a brand new feature and now people are trying to start using it, and there's a problem. Well, guess what? That feature wasn't finished. Now, the code might be completely finished for how we defined the feature. But if there was an additional bit of behavior that needed to be a part of the feature that we just didn't even analyze properly, well, that's where the problem is. We didn't finish our analysis. And so that can happen at any stage. But I don't care what you call it. I don't have, there's no loyalty. There's no, I love Agile versus, there's no bandwagon. There's no soapbox. I want your software project to succeed. And this is how to make it succeed: quality, stability, and then productivity. And then you keep it there and you grind, you keep it going. And by the way, your team is going to love it because they're going to win. Software teams love winning. They love going fast. Software teams don't like fixing problems. So hope that was a good answer. And I think I answered the next two questions kind of because they were related. So thank you all very, very much. I appreciate your time, and have a great day.